All right. Well, hello and welcome, parents and families. We're super excited that you're here today. As you all are entering, we are just super excited that you're here. Today, we are talking about fall move in. And so we're really excited to make sure that you get this information. We're just a few short weeks away from move in. And so we're going to give you all of the details about that. As always, this is part of our Family U Chats webinar series. And we here are really always making sure that we're giving parents and families the information that they need to help their student be successful. And so we're super excited that you're here and that you're engaged with us. All of our webinars are always recorded and added to our website, usually within 24 hours after the webinar. And so you can always go back and watch it and rewatch it. Make sure that you get your questions answered, and then we will also we'll post it on our YouTube, on our website, and also on our Facebook. And so you'll have access to it multiple places. And then if you ever have any questions, we'll also share our contact information at the end so that you can reach our offices and get the answers to your questions. So now that I've kind of given you the basics of our webinar series, I am going to invite and ask you to welcome Dawn Bond. And she's going to talk to you, and her team is also going to be here to answer some questions, and she'll kind of tell you how that works. But she's here to talk to you a lot about move-in and all of the details. She knows everything about move-in, I think. I know, actually. And so please give your attention to Don Bond and her team, and they'll definitely make sure that you have all of the information about move-in. So please welcome Don Bond.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. For those of you on the East Coast, I am so excited to be with you here today. This is my favorite time of the year. I have about 15 members of my team behind the scenes as panelists who will be assisting with your questions. I'd ask that this won't take the full hour. I'm going to present for about 20 minutes, and I try to keep it nice and efficient. And I have found that if you get lost in the Q&A, you kind of stop listening to my presentation, and your question that you're asking may come up later in the presentation. But the Q&A is available to you, and they will be behind the scenes answering those questions. Jonathan will also be monitoring the Q&A to look for trends. Maybe there's something that get asked several times and it's not part of my presentation. In about 20-25 minutes, we'll open the floor to Q&A, and Jonathan will ask questions of me that he is seeing in the Q&A portion of this Zoom. And so I'm going to ask for a screen share on our presentation. Awesome. All right, I'm going to get started. And most of you don't know me, but what I can tell you is I'm a fast talker. So here we go. So this week, Monday, your student found out their assignment if they're a new student to our campus. If you're a returning student, family, or parent, your student picked their assignment previously, but assignments were released August 5th, and that's when you find out your room information, your hall, your room, and roommate information. Starting this coming Monday on August 12th, move-in reservation will open. Move-in reservation is an all-day event starting on Monday, August 12th. We do not ramp on every building on campus at 9 a.m. The first 2 years we utilize move-in reservation, we truly crash spire. And so we have to stagger on buildings that day. The schedule for when your student's building will open up for making a move-in reservation or viewing an assigned move-in reservation is on our website currently. And so there are two types of move-in reservations. There are those of you, most of you, who will make a move-in reservation time by logging in and looking at the half-hour time slots that are available for your move-in day in your building. And then there are a small group of buildings that we assign move-in times to. And so you will view a move-in reservation that's already been assigned to you by UMass folks. And the reason we assign a time to you is that we use a professional moving company to move you in, and they move each of those buildings in by floor. So it's important to understand the distinction. The Sylvan Residence Halls, Southwest Towers, and all of the buildings in Commonwealth Honors College are assigned times. I'm going to slow down for a second here and ask for you to really focus on me. For students and families who have students assigned to Southwest Towers, Sylvan Residential Hall buildings, specifically McNamara for transfers, in any one of the Commonwealth Honors College times, you have been assigned a time. And the only other, that time will be listed on the front page of the move-in reservation. Last year, we had many students rush through move-in reservation and opt out of an assisted move-in by changing their time. And so I really, really want to encourage you to slow down. And if you're assigned to Southwest Towers, Sylvan Residential Area, or Commonwealth Honors College, you've already been assigned a time because that's the way we move the building in. If you change that time, it will not be possible to go back to the assisted move-in time that we've assigned you. So that's really, really important that you listen to me on that and that you do not change out of your assisted move-in time unless that's truly what you want. So at the end of that week, students have until the 16th to view or make their move-in reservation time. That is also where your student will print their boarding pass so that they have that available for when they move in. Starting on August 26th, we will begin to transition our students who are here as part of conference groups or our summer housing students. And it's also when we start to welcome our early arrival groups. And so conference transitions and early arrival groups are unassisted move-ins, and you will see times for the day that you are assigned to move and time slots as well. All students make a move-in reservation, including our student staff who arrive 2 weeks earlier than our students do. So we utilize move-in reservation to stagger traffic in so we don't create traffic jams at our unload zones. We have 3 assisted move-in dates this year. They're all business days. That is not typical for a UMass move-in schedule, but we are excited to announce that we have an August 31st home football game. We have not experienced that in the last 10 years, so this is new to us as well. And so on Wednesday, August 28th, Thursday, August 29th, and Friday, August 30th, we have move-in day 1, 2, and 3. This year, we have also tried to even out the flow of each day and equalize the number of students that are arriving on campus. And so we will be moving first years and transfers in over day 1 and day 2, with some returning students beginning to move in on day 2. And then on our final move-in day, day 3, it is all returning students. We have what we think is a very helpful SAM, the Minuteman's move-in success list. So it's super important. The success of our move-in program over the last decade has been to be really structured and clear behind the scenes so that it's easy and smooth for you as you arrive to campus. We have been very specific about how we would like for you to come to the UMass Amherst campus to get to your check-in location. And so please, as the driver of the car and as sort of a family team, you are reviewing your routes to orient yourself for the move-in day. Coming in cold will not help you. You cannot put enough signs on the ground to navigate every detail of move-in, and so it's super important that you look at our maps. We spent a lot of time last summer redoing our maps, making them more user-friendly and intuitive for folks who may or may not be familiar with our campus. Your student will need to bring their printed boarding pass. This does have a barcode on it that we use to do the electronic check-in out in the parking lot or behind the football stadium. If you are planning to bring a second car, the driver of the second car should also have a boarding pass because there's some important information that they may need to navigate using that piece of paper. We don't need it to check them in, but I'll talk about the boarding pass a bit in a few moments. Your student will need a U-card or a photo ID. If they do not have their U-card when they arrive, the U-card office will be open each of those business days, the 28th, the 29th, and 30th, and they should make it a priority to go to the U-card office to get the U-card. If they do not have a U-card, they will need to be issued a temp card in order to get in and out of the residence hall after we lock up for the day after 5 p.m. Prepare and pack and travel with in mind that we only unload 1 car. So again, I just talked about a second car, and there's many reasons why people will bring a second car, but we will only unload 1 car at the residence hall. And so it's important that you pack as much as you can into that first car and so that we can assist you with that unload. Follow our directions very specifically to the east and west check-in points. And again, there's maps from check-in to the hall and then from the hall to the designated parking lot, all on our website. If you are bringing a second car, please have the second car driver coordinate so that they understand what parking lot they'll be going to, because again, they will not be going to the residence hall. They'll be going to an adjacent lot. Excellent. Understanding the boarding pass. We also made improvements on our boarding pass last summer. And so there's lots of information about your student and what day they're moving in and who they are and where they're assigned and what side of campus they're checking in on. And again, we have West check-in, which is behind the football stadium, and East check-in, which is in a large parking lot on the northeast side of campus behind North Apartments. Most important part of this boarding pass is that barcode. We utilize that. We take the paper from your student after we verify through a photo ID that they are them. And then we use that barcode to check you in and use the barcode on the key envelope that we will give you. That QR code was also added last year. That is a very helpful QR code because it takes you to our website where it has the detailed maps for every single hall, from how to navigate from check-in to the hall and from the hall after unload to parking, as well as where the second car travels to get to the designated location. We have some tips and options for what to bring. We have an approved vendor that we work with where you can rent a microfridge unit. We have found that microwaves and refrigerators, even though they're small, take up a lot of space in the car. So this may be something you would like to consider. I believe this is the last week for priority delivery, but if that is something that you haven't thought about, you may want to jump onto their website and see if that works for you. We will be holding a giant tag sale called New to You Tag Sale. That is made up of items that we collected from last year's students when they were moving out in May. We clean them up, tag them, and sell them at a giant tag sale. That tag sale will be held on Saturday after move-in, the same day the football game is happening. And then we also offer a program called the Luggage Program for our out-of-state and international students, where you ship ahead pre-packed boxes. We hold them at our distribution center, and we make every effort to have that in the room waiting for your student upon their arrival. There are also things that you are not allowed to bring to campus, and so it's important that you check that through our residential policies page. And many of those things intuitively are things that are hazardous. They're fire hazards or safety hazards for our residential communities. There are some essentials that we wanted to highlight. There's an over 2-page list of things that we've categorized on our website about what to bring. I think it's helpful to just take a glance at that because it may remind you of something that you had totally forgotten about. One example of that might be a flashlight with fresh batteries. We very rarely experience power outages here, but if the power does go out in a building for a short time, particularly when it's nighttime, it's helpful to have a flashlight. So on this list, I'd like to highlight our linens program, and that's another approved vendor that we work with, where it's a comprehensive group of linens and bedding and towels and a shower caddy. That's a nice option to consider if you haven't already purchased those things. The second thing I'd like to highlight here is a fan, or for me, 2 fans, so that you can circulate air. Most of our residence halls are not air conditioned, with the exception of North Apartments and Commonwealth Honors College, which are our 2 newest facilities. Every other residence hall is not air conditioned. We have had 18 days over 90 degrees here this year in the Valley, and I suspect we will see some hot days in September. It just is getting a little warmer and warmer in September here. And lastly, I'd like to highlight the iClicker. The iClicker is a classroom tool that many faculty use to take attendance and have students participate in classroom activities. That is listed as a classroom material on Spire. When you go to Spire, it's under class overview / textbook. If you have a course that requires an iClicker, I would strongly encourage your student to order that now and bring it with them. I'm going to talk a little bit about packages in a moment, but we get swamped the first several weeks in our service desk operation with incoming packages, and students have gotten a bit stressed when they order an iClicker and have it delivered here the few days before they leave and come, and then they don't have it for the first day of classes. So it's important to take a look at that on Spire. I've talked a little bit about this, but it never hurts to say it 10 times. We only unload 1 car at UMass Move-In at all times, 1 car. And so that's super, super important as you're making decisions about how to pack the primary car. If you're bringing a second car, I would encourage you to think about putting mostly people in the second car. Please have your student in the primary car and as much that we can help you unload in that first car. If you bring a second car and haven't listened to my strong messaging about 2 cars, you will end up like this family. This family is in our pull-off section behind the football stadium, and my favorite part of this picture is Dad's posture. And he is just, how come no one told me? And so what they're attempting to do right here is move some things from second car into the primary car, which, by the way, I'd like to add already has a Thule on top of it, and make some arrangements so that the belongings that are in that second car are unloaded with assisted move-in. And so please remember, we only unload one car. If you bring a second car, that car will go directly to the parking lot that we've designated. And this family is an excellent example. This was not a staged picture. They are happily walking from the parking lot with light items. And so light items, things on rollies, and people are the best things to put in second cars. On the east side of campus, and so that includes Northeast, North Apartments, and Sylvan residential area. The parking lots that we designate for students for families to park in after unload or for second car are a bit further away from the residence halls than other areas of campus. And so we operate a shuttle all day long, day 1, day 2, and day 3 from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. so that you may hop onto our shuttle and get a ride back to the residence hall, or vice versa. After helping your student get unpacked and set up, you can jump on the shuttle back to the parking lot. And so that's on the east side of campus for North, Northeast, and Sylvan. It stops outside of Northeast and outside of Sylvan and then loops back around constantly. If your student is coming by taxi or Uber or Lyft or even Peter Pan bus, we also operate a shuttle that picks students up at the Bremery Center for the Arts. We want to take you that last mile so that you do not have to pay to sit in a queue to get checked in. Peter Pan wouldn't sit in the queue, they'll just drop you off here. But for everybody else, we can pick your student up and their luggage and whatever they have with them and take them through the check in process right to the hall, help them get unloaded and moved in. And so consider that as you're thinking about your student who may be traveling this way. There will be a large sign on the ground. If the shuttle doesn't come around within, I think we say 10 or 15 minutes on that sign, there's a phone number to call. I spoke about this previously, but there are students who are already here who transition from summer housing to their fall assignment. Those are called conference transition students. Some examples of that are the marching band and the BIOS program. We also have some Rec Well staff here with us. And so if you plan to bring some additional items for students who fall into this category, it's important that you think about that. You are able to come after hours. I think we list those on the next slide, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, this is our next slide. If you plan to bring some additional items for your student who is already here and just had whatever they needed for them for those few days, you can come after 6 p.m., August 27th through the 30th, or anytime August 31st through September 2nd. It's important to note that your vehicle will not have access to the residence halls on any of the days we're operating the assisted move-in, the 28th through the 30th, until after 6 p.m. Move-in early arrivals are unassisted arrivals. Students who are coming as early arrivals have approval to do so. They're usually staff who are coming early, student staff who are coming to campus to assist with the campus opening, and they will see a move-in reservation for August 26th. These are folks that will drive to your designated residence hall, go to your residential service desk to get your key. In cases where there's an elevator in your residence hall, they can assign out a bin as needed, as this family has in Honors College, and you will have 20 minutes in the unload zone to unpack and move your car. Now I'm going to talk about the majority of the participants that are on this webinar's move-in experience. We'll start with the East check-in location. The East check-in location, as I've indicated previously, is in lot 44 behind North Apartments. We do ask that families coming to the East check-in location approach us from the north. And so if you're coming in from Route 116, you're literally going to pass the campus. It's going to feel weird. You're going to be going by it thinking, why are they taking me out into this residential area? It's because we just loop you back around onto North Pleasant, and then you enter North Residential Drive, as Sarah's indicating here with her cursor, and you'll follow the cones and the signs. We split you into 2 lanes. You'll come around, and the very first thing you experience on the east side of campus is getting checked in. And usually a picture pops up here, but that's okay, because that's where your car will You'll interact with staff on my team, and one student will stay with the car and explain what's happening. The other student will run and get the placard for your windshield and your student's key and get them checked in electronically. And then after you get checked in on the east side of campus, our amazing partners from dining are out there with us. They hand out snack bags to the car. There's snacks and fruits and waters in there in case there's a little bit of wait in what is the next step, which we call car call up. Car call up is where we stage the cars so that we are not overloading any one of our unload zones. We only call cars off of the car call up when there's a spot available for them in the designated unload zone. After you've been called off car call up, you will follow the directions that I've spoken about that are on our website for your specific call so that you are able to navigate our traveling routes. What we do not do is bring cars into the center of our campus. If we did that, we would cause our own traffic jam. So it's super important that the driver of the car, both second and first, kind of have a sense of what they're doing that day. Again, I wouldn't come in cold on this at all. I wouldn't come in cold if I were going to Gillette Stadium, and I wouldn't come in cold if I were moving my student in at UMass. And that doesn't mean that we don't have a smooth, really organized process, but the expectation on our part is that you've done a little bit of overlay on an overview of what's about to happen. And so again, we operate the shuttle on this side of campus for North, Northeast, and Sylvan. But the other halls that check in on this side of campus are Central and Orchard Hill. On the west side of campus, we check you in behind the football stadium. All traffic coming to west check-in location will come off of 116 and enter onto Stadium Drive, taking a right and following the route around the football stadium. The first stop on the west side is our dining partners because that was just the best place to put them. So you get your snack first, then you'll come around and literally tuck in behind the football stadium. That's where we check you in with the key and the placard, scanning the barcodes. And then lastly is car call up. Second cars for Southwest will not leave this site. They will immediately go and park the car in lots 22 and 33, and Sarah's going to toggle over that, and then walk up to your student's residence hall. Students for Honors College will go a little bit further out past the Mullen Center to park. And so students that are designated to be unloaded will leave out of Dallas Mall onto University Drive and follow the routes as designated on our website for that specific hall. What I'm going to show you next is a very short video from start to finish, the East check-in. And we made this last year. We think it's pretty great. It's subtitled and it gives you a sense of the experience. And here we go.
Credit boarding pass. Thank you. Right, I'll be right back with your key. Welcome to UMass. We're going to be moving you into school today.
That video makes me happy every single time I see it. So there are two types of move-ins on our campus, and most, as I said, students will be moved in by our wonderful student minute movers. Those are the buildings where you select a move-in reservation time, and the minute mover team is there to assist the family in unloading and pushing those laundry cart bins to through the route that we've designated for that particular residence hall. As soon as that car is unloaded, the driver of the car will leave the unload zone and park in the designated parking lot that we have determined for your student's residence hall. Minute Mover Move In is a team effort. Everybody that's here helps, and the Minute Movers are there to augment and assist with that. The second type of moving we have is our professional moving company, and that is a bit different. This is a picture of the USS team, University and Student Services, USS, and they take chain of custody as soon as the car pulls up. The family does not get out of the car. The family does not assist with unloading the car or moving the belongings into the building. They will tag these bins with your student's name and room number, and as soon as the car is unloaded, the whole family leaves and goes and parks the car. And then 96% of the time, when the family returns to the room, the belongings are in the room waiting for you to start getting unpacked and settled in. And so again, our USS buildings are Southwest Towers, Honors College, and Sylvan. It's important to note, and this has been an often asked question on our Family to Family Facebook page, is that even if there's an elevator in your student's residence hall, the assumption should not be made that you will be using the elevator. It is impossible mathematically to move every student into many of our 4-story buildings. Some of our Orchard Hill buildings are 7-story, with everyone using the elevator. And so we've had to make some decisions about who will use the elevator and who will push and carry to the nearest stairwell. We do not ask people to carry belongings more than 4 flights, and that is typical of most of our buildings that don't even have an elevator, is they're all mostly 4-story buildings. Once the car is unloaded, and we've talked about this, it immediately leaves the unload zone and goes and parks, so we can pull another car off the car call up and get that unloaded. After your arrival, we know that there are going to be some things you want to do to get your room set up. Hopefully you've had some conversations with your fall roommate or roommates, suite mates. And so it's important that you know that there is a room condition form on Spire that we ask students to complete to let us know that everything in the room that we think is perfect is, in your opinion, also perfect, so that at the end of the year, you are not billed for anything. If there is anything significantly wrong, a little chip of paint, you don't need to put a service request in for, and we would never bill you for that anyhow. But if there is a drawer that is broken and it will not open and close and slide easily, we want to replace that piece of furniture for you. So we want you to put that service request in, and that's an online service request. Again, you do not need to report ticky-tack fouls on that, just significant things that need to be repaired. And I'm actually going to have you go backwards for just a moment to make sure I hit everything on that screen. Lofting kits and bunking your bed and safety bars is another category. In each building, there is a designated location that's listed on our website already as well, where we store the materials for lofting beds. There have been many questions on our on the Family to Family page this week about when do the lofting kits run out, because they are first come, first serve. My experience with that is that they typically do not run out. That the captain height of the bed that you can do without using a lofting kit is usually high enough to store many items below. And so I don't need you to, don't stress out about lofting kits, because I think you'll find that the height that we already have the bed allows for ample storage underneath the bed. Lofting the bed is usually an attempt to put the desk underneath the bed, and that might not be a height that your student is comfortable with. You can also bunk beds. The materials for that are there. And then we do have safety bars for students that have their bed a little bit higher up and would feel more comfortable with a safety bar. A safety bar does need to be requested through the online service request. It is super important to understand that all of our residence halls have sprinklers. and have a sprinkler fire suppression systems in them. Sprinkler heads are highly sensitive. So if you are moving furniture around in your room and helping your student get set up, it's super important to look up and navigate and understand where those sprinkler heads, so that you do not accidentally tap it when moving a bed end or trying to situate the bed up in the air. If you set the sprinkler head into motion during move-in, you are not only going to flood your room and every single thing in your room with what is not so clean water. It's very rusty water that's been sitting in pipes. You're also going to flood the rest of the floor. And so it's important to know where those sprinkler heads are and be aware of them as you're setting up your room. See, I knew we needed to go backwards on that. All right, exploring your new home. Every single building has at least one hydration station, and we do recommend strongly that you bring refillable and reusable water bottles. Single-use water bottles, in my opinion, are not good, and you should be thinking about sustainability and our commitment to sustainability here at UMass as you enter in. There is a laundry room or laundry rooms in every single residence's hall as well. At the very beginning of every year, I see a lot of chatter about doing laundry and how to do laundry and how to do the machines operate. And so it's super important that your student read the signage that is in the laundry rooms. They operate differently than the laundry machines at home. And in most cases, your student will be using their U-card and money that you've placed on the U-card to pay for their laundry. There's a kitchen in each residence hall, rec space. We still deliver paper letter mail into mailboxes in residence halls. And so your student should identify where the bank of mailboxes is in their residence hall, with the exception of Honors College. Honors College has all of their mailboxes adjacent to their residential service desk. There are trash and recycling locations in every residence hall as well. It's not always a room. It could be outside. Many of our Northeast and Central residence halls have a trash corral that's outside the building, and you are expected to sort your trash and recycle according to our sustainability expectations. I spoke about the service request, and that is for routine maintenance and things that we can schedule and enter with you. The difference is emergency maintenance should be called in. And so if you ever experience a toilet that's overflowing, or a shower or sink that won't shut off, anything related to the lock mechanism of your door or of your building, anything that's related to fire safety, those are all emergency maintenance requests. And we have a 24/7 facility service center that you call that into, and we immediately send a response technician to assess and put a solution in place. If you experience a maintenance need outside of your residence hall, it's the same service request. If it's routine, then you would submit a service request, and we thank you for that. If it's emergency, then again, we want you to call it in to the facility service center. Those phone numbers will be available to you upon your arrival. And now I'd like to talk about another part of my team, the residential service desk operation. There are 8 residential service desks. Those service desks serve a group of buildings in each of the residential areas. This is where your student will go if they have trouble opening their mailbox. We do have several video tutorials. There are like 3 or 4 different ways that the locks work on mailboxes. We have video tutorials, but if that doesn't work, we can help you. This is where your student would go if they've misplaced or lost their key, to sign out a backup key. We do not want them to leave their door unlocked. Or if they've misplaced or lost their temp card outside of U-card hours, you can go and we can issue a temp card. And then most importantly, this is where students go and pick up packages. That's usually how we're known. Not every student locks themselves out or loses their temp card. And new this year on the east side of campus, we have installed a number of hammock stands. And so you can sign out a hammock if you'd like and experience that on the east side of campus. Speaking of packages, we have in past Septembers delivered over 60,000 packages in the first several weeks. And so it's super important to have even expectations about how quickly you will get something that you've ordered, especially if you've ordered it after you've gotten here. And so there will be some delays during the first few weeks. If you're ordering textbooks, we encourage you to ship them to the eCampus pickup point, which is in the campus center. If you do have an important medication, don't rely on shipping it to yourself the first several weeks of the semester, we recommend that you bring at least a 30-day supply so that you get through the month of September. And please note that items over 40 pounds or requiring a 20+ signature are not accepted at the RSD, with the exception of you making arrangements with the 21+ if it's a electronic device like a laptop or a cell phone. We are here to help, and as Jonathan said at the very beginning of this webinar, we want this to be a successful move-in for you. We want you to be able to feel comfortable and have all of your questions answered. We're going to take the next about 20 minutes to do so, but if after this webinar ends, you're like, oh, I forgot to ask that thing, please call us or email us at our website listed, or our email address listed here, and we are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And so we are super looking forward to welcoming you back for this, or welcoming you period, this fall. And I'm now going to turn it over to Jonathan so we can take some questions.
All right. Thank you, Dawn. I'm super excited to get to some of these questions. I'm going to start with one that I've seen so many times, and so I'm just going to have you answer it aloud for everyone, is talk about U-Cards and how students get those so that they can move in.
Yep. So any student who has successfully submitted their photo, it is my understanding by the end of this week, so coming up, those will be mailed to U.S. addresses only. So if your student is an international student or hasn't submitted a photo successfully before the end of this week, then they will pick that up at the U-Card office, with the exception of international students. International families, we work directly with the U-Card office to take custody of international student IDs, and because many of them check in as early arrivals on Monday, August 26th, because their orientation starts that day, we will have your U-Card for you waiting for when you check in and receive your key.
Great. So our next question says, what's a lofting kit? You talked a lot about those, but what are they?
So those are bed end materials that will allow your student to raise their bed up pretty high, in my opinion. If you can put a desk and a bookshelf under it, imagine that. And so those lofting kit materials are available in each residence hall. And I honestly have found that most students are happy with the height of their bed in the captain position, which you do not need a lofting kit for. It's just there's several heights of the beds that can be done, moved up and down. When you move in, your bed is at captain's height, and there's plenty of room for storage underneath.
So we have a couple of questions about space in specific rooms. I would not ask most people these questions, but I know that you know the setup of most rooms. So for every room, can students does it allow for 2 lofted beds as opposed to a bunk arrangement?
Yes.
Yes. All right. And in Melville specifically, do the beds need to be bunked in a triple, or can they also all be separate?
So in Melville, we do not have what we call economy triples. Those are design triples, and the beds do not need to be lofted or bunked for 3 students to live in that room comfortably. Those are design triples.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the next question is, if I am on assisted move-in, am I allowed to bring a second car?
I am so glad whoever asked this question, because I didn't penetrate there. No second cars. No second cars get moved in. We do not allow a second car to the unload zone. I won't even argue with you on the day of move-in about the second car. The second car does not get unloaded. And so it's super important that if you're bringing a second car, and there's many reasons to do so, there may be additional family members that want to be part of the move-in day experience. Your student may be keeping a car on campus after you've moved them in. You should not have any expectation to get near the unload zone. You are going to be directed to the parking lot that's designated for your residence hall, and we will not issue you a bin to assist you in moving from that parking lot to the residence hall. And you certainly should not expect to use the elevator, because as I've already indicated, in buildings that have elevators, students who are bringing just one car may not even be in line to use the elevator. So we do not unload second cars.
All right. So can you talk to us about what appliances are in residence halls? Maybe do it by area.
Sure.
So that might be the easiest
Yeah.
way.
So I know that there's a refrigerator and a microwave and a sink to do dishes in every single kitchen across campus in residence halls that don't have their own private kitchens, like the North Apartments and some apartments in Commonwealth Honors College. Not and also a burner. So there's usually a stovetop burner in each of those kitchens. What is not consistent is an oven. And so there is potential for fire hazard with ovens. And so many of them have been changed out and not replaced, but some that haven't needed to be may still have an oven, but I wouldn't expect to be able to bake much.
All right. So our next question is there a place that we can get dimensions of rooms in each of the buildings?
So your student can log in to look at the floor plans of their residence hall. They need their net ID and password to do so. We do ask that, I know that Kathleen from the Family to Family page has asked that you not post those floor plans online for others to see. Many years ago, due to, quite honestly, threats on campus, we started to protect our building floor plans and do not want them out there publicly for people to understand the layouts and the egress. But your student can specifically log in and look at the floor plan for their building, and that does include dimensions of the room.
All right, so our next question is saying, how early should folks arrive? And if they arrive early, is that a problem? If they arrive late, is that a problem?
Mhm. We want you to really work on getting here in that half-hour window, but we know that sometimes things are a little bit out of your control. If you arrive a few minutes early or a few minutes late, we're just going to keep checking you in. We are not checking your boarding pass for the time that you were supposed to arrive. However, we do not want you to wildly go outside of the half-hour time slot. So your student wasn't able to pick an 8 a.m. time because there wasn't an 8 a.m. time, so you have an 11 a.m. time. Don't come at 8 a.m. Please come at 11. The whole point of the move-in reservation when we changed the way we do move-in here at UMass was to stagger the traffic in. And if people come out widely outside of their move-in reservation intentionally, then it will just create traffic jams and delays at the unload zone and in the car call up. Again, if something's out of your control and you got a flat tire on your way in and you had to wait for AAA and you come in a couple of hours later than your move-in time, of course we're going to check you in and of course we're going to move you in. But we want folks to try to adhere to their 30-minute window as much as possibly. Right now, Route 9 is under construction. It has been for the past 3 move-ins. And so, but this year, it looks like we're really close to paving some of the final sections of the Route 9 corridor. My understanding is that the Apple Maps and Google Maps will take that into account. They do know where construction is. And so rely on your GPS to get you at least to Amherst proper, UMass proper, and then please follow the directions that we have in on our website to get to your check-in location.
So the next question is about our students who have early move-in, so maybe for band or for cheer or any of those other things. Do these rules still apply?
Yes, so students who are moving in early, regardless of the type of early arrival it is, including our student staff, RAs, and peer mentors, do need to make a move-in reservation. In some cases, you do not need to print your boarding pass. So unassisted move-ins do not need to print a boarding pass. You will get a specific email. Your student will get a specific email closer to move-in telling them the details of that. We do not unload more than 1 car at the unload zone. Only 1 car is allowed for 20 minutes. We do have people in those unload zones during early arrival taking phone numbers and room numbers and writing down the times so that we keep everyone honest. I don't want to say anyone's dishonest, but I have found that sometimes if you don't monitor folks, folks will forget the car is there sitting in the unload zone and then another family isn't able to move in. And so even on unassisted move-in times, it's important that folks are thinking about this as a team sport and really trying to be good about utilizing the bin for the amount of time that has been signed out for and staying in the unload zone for the 20 or 30 minutes that they have to do so.
So, Don, one of the next questions we're getting a lot is about the height of beds. So, when it's in captain's height, what's that height? When it's
Mhm.
lofted, what's that height? maybe you know it in inches. I don't know what lives in your brain, but I know that you know a lot of information.
I actually think this is on our website, and I'm going to go to my team that's behind the scenes to see. Well, I'll give them a minute to navigate onto our website. I do think we have the dimensions of the height of the captain's bed, especially because I think that's how we start.
Mhm.
But I'm a tall person. I'm 5'9", and that bed, the mattress of that bed is at hip height for me. So there's a good amount of storage under that bed. So I'll just let my team handle that for a second, and then if we have it, we can send it out
Mhm.
over the everyone chat. Or did
Yes,
we?
I will do that as soon as your team messages to me. I'll put it for everyone.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, all right. So moving to our next question is, do we pick a reservation time or is it assigned? Where and when do you do this? I know that was pretty much what you talked about a lot, but I'm gonna have you repeat it for folks.
Okay. So there are two types of move-in reservation. Some students are going to make a move-in reservation from the half-hour time slots that are available on our website. And then other students are going to see an assigned time. The students that are going to see an assigned time, it's easier for me to say it that way, are students that are assigned to the Southwest Towers, Honors College, all of the residence halls in Honors College, and Sylvan Residential, all of the buildings in Sylvan. And so the reason we assign times is that we use a professional moving company, and they are very efficient but need to move in a floor at a time. Every other residence hall on campus, or even any other time that you're moving in addition to the assisted move in, you will pick from the times that are available in half-hour time slots. So it's super important that your student is making the move-in reservation and navigating the move-in reservation panels and reading things as soon as they've logged in. It is not a competition. You are only working, the only people that are making a move-in reservation for your building at the same time you are the other residents that live in your building. In my experience over the last decade, there have not been significant problems with people being blocked out of times that are highly desirable and others that are not. It really is different depending on the family when they want to come or how early or late they can come. Many people are out of state and don't want an 8 o'clock time. Vice versa, there are families that live locally who would love the 8 o'clock time and take it. So it's important that if you're not sure about your students' move-in reservation process, and you've asked this question and this answer hasn't sufficed as an answer, I would like for you to email my team so we can work with you directly.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting a couple of questions about fridges. So, can multiple refrigerators fit? The website specifies a I'm gonna add a 3 cubic unit. Most are 3.2. Is that okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah. So, talk to me about that. Can
Yeah.
multiple? Yeah.
Yeah, each student can have their own mini fridge, and I can see some reasons why that might be the case. The 3.0, 3.2 it's the same. It's fine. We're not going to measure your fridge. We don't have the time. And it's in the car buried somewhere.
Uh, yeah, there are a lot of us, but not quite so not quite that many. I'm gonna say the answer aloud because your team posted it to me. So captain's height is 36 inches from the floor. Uh,
Nice.
so and I also put it in the chat so that everyone could see it. The next question was about the carts that we use for moving. Where do folks get them? If they use one, does that mean they get to use the elevator? What is that? How does that work?
Okay. So if you're moving in unassisted, so an early arrival, a late arrival, after hours on one of the move-in days, you are able to sign a bin out from your residential service desk as long as we have them. There are not an endless supply of move-in bins at the service desk. We don't have the storage space for them. And there is a 20-minute limit on the sign out, and so you do need to be efficient with it. What I would say about some of our buildings with high floors and limited elevators, it does not mean that you have immediate access to the elevator. There may be wait time at the elevators. And so my experience is that unassisted move-in times have not been a chaotic experience because we don't have thousands of students coming in every half hour. But the expectation that there will be a bin and that the elevator will be available should be tamped down a little bit. There may be some wait time there. Um, And you may not carry our bins up the stairs. That is absolutely not okay. The wheels will break off of them. If you should only sign a bin out if your student lives in an elevator, if you're moving in unassisted, because lifting and just unloading the car and walking up the stairs the old school way is truly the way many families will move in, because there are many buildings on our campus that do not have an elevator. So it's important to note that. And then during assisted move-in, we will use as many bins as it takes to unload your car in order to get it out of the unload zone. And then those bins will be either pushed into the line for the elevator or pushed to the closest stairwell to your student's room. And you and Minute Movers and the rest of the family will help unload those bins and walk up the stairs.
So, Don, are there any residence halls where the beds are automatically bunked, and which ones are those?
So there are two types of rooms that are automatically bunked. There are economy triples in our towers and in some of our other locations, first year locations on campus. And so if your student is assigned to an economy triple, the only way to put enough furniture in that room for 3 students was to bunk 2 beds. One bed is not, the other 2 are. And then in the corner rooms in all of our towers, we have pre-bunked the beds to make more open floor space for you to set up the room. Those beds can be unbunked or lofted and resituated in a different way, but we believed that bunking the beds was more popular and ideal for students moving into a corner room, and that they are pre-bunked.
All right. So, someone is asking a question about a bigger bed. I'm not sure what that is.
I do.
And
I can
and
answer.
that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking, because
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know that you
So
know. Yeah.
all of our beds are extra long twin, and with a medical accommodation in place that needs to go through the proper channels by way of the assignment office. There are some students that do need a medical accommodation for a larger bed. And so that is the only way that a family is able to move in a different type of bed or mattress. And they should be pursuing that through the medical accommodations process. And only once approved for that are you able to, we will remove the university bed and you will move in the accommodation bed.
All right. So people are asking about closets and closet spaces and how big they are. I know that that is so specific and it
It
changes
is.
per residence
It is.
hall.
Yeah. It's
So, but can you,
impossible to say.
it's
Yep.
impossible. Yeah.
So what I can say is that the Family to Family Facebook page that was created a number of years ago, that's monitored, that's not a university sponsored page, but is monitored by some lovely and wonderful parents, and to assist other parents whose students are incoming, have fairly robust photo libraries of different room types. Um, what I would say, and I mean this in the kindest, most loving way, to those that are asking about the very specific dimensions about things that can kind of just be left to the moment, right? They've done, the family page has done its best to do some measurements and some pictures, but even in a building like Van Meter, where there might be 40 different room types pictured, there might be a room that's different sized. And so the best way to approach is to take a look at the floor plan so you have a sense of the lay of the land. Talk with your roommate or roommates about what their desires are for setting up the room as well, and then sort of roll with it a little bit. I have not had the experience where someone arrives and knowing the dimensions has made or broken the experience. As far as the mirror is concerned, not every room does have a full length mirror. And so if that's something that your student desires, bring it. We move in tons of full length mirrors. And so, and if there's one already there, now there's 2. So, and we
The
cannot possibly measure every closet, or the desks are standard, the dressers are standard, the beds are standard, but in some of our older residence halls, where there's built-in desks and drawers, or closets that have desks and drawers, we just can't account for that.
All right. So, how do folks access move-in dates Inspire? What is like the navigation kind of to that?
It is under, I'm going to ask one of my staff if they can put that in the chat. It's under housing.
Mhm.
Uh, I think it's under housing move-in reservation. And then
Okay.
it takes you right there. And that's also where you print your boarding pass. I don't have the path right off the top of my mind, but what we'll do is we'll include that when you post this video. Is there a way to do that, Jonathan?
Um, if we say it aloud before the end, that'll be in the recording.
Okay. Okay. Well, we've got 5 minutes.
Yes.
So if one of my primary core team folks could see if you could find that path, I don't think it's not intuitive, is what I'm going to say. And so
Yeah.
if your student was able to look at their housing assignment, I'd have them log in and see what you see.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with move-in reservation. What
Okay.
else do we have?
All right. Another one says, where do folks park after they have moved in? What happens then?
So there will be there's maps on our website. After the car has been unloaded from that specific residence hall to the parking lot that we've designated, there will be a route that the driver will follow to get to that parking lot and park the car, and then they'll walk back to the residence hall. In all cases, except the one we talked about on the east side for North, Northeast, and Sylvan, we run a shuttle. Everybody else walks back from parking the car to the residence halls.
All right. The next question is about the washing facilities, specifically for our students who are international. How is that different here? What does that look like? How is it paid for? Give us
Oh,
the
the
rundown.
laundry. The
Laundry.
laundry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the laundry is, most students will use their U-Card. That's the most efficient way to do laundry at UMass. And so you're going to load money onto your U-Card to do laundry. Off the top of my head, quite honestly, I don't know if it's $1.25 or $1.50 a load.
It's
But it's
$1.20.
all right. All
And
right.
it's $1.40. It's $1.20 if you use your U card, $1.40 if you pay cash.
That's so great that you know that. And so your student will use the laundry room and their residence hall to wash and dry their laundry. My experience has been that if you put too much in the washer, you are going to pay for 2 dries versus 1 wash. And so it's important that you don't overload the washer so that you only have to dryer. But if you do overload the washer, then you'll probably have to run that dry cycle twice.
Mhm. Folks asked a clarifying question about the corner rooms. Are all corner rooms booked?
Yes.
Yes.
In the tower, all corner rooms in the Southwest Towers, and that's the only location that we have corner rooms that we call corner rooms, because every other room is just a room, is in the Southwest Towers.
All right. So this is a good question that I know you answer often is, can Amazon packages be delivered to the residential service desk? Or is there a different address for each dorm?
Yep, great question.
Yes.
So again, on our website, navigate to mail and packages, and you'll get lots of information about what your student's address is and what address to use if you're shipping something to them or if they're buying something when they're here. There is a very specific address as it's written out on our website. Amazon is not an approved vendor for our campus. We do not have a vendor relationship with them, and so you cannot ship by way of Amazon to our campus. However, you can select a different delivery organization to get your package to campus. So you can buy on Amazon and then ship either through UPS or USPS, and that will get to the residential service desk, and we will process that package, and your student will receive an email that there's a package waiting for them.
So folks are asking about the number of bins that they have access to. And during move-in, assisted or unassisted move-in, how many bins do they have access to? And if it's during assisted move-in, will the movers take multiple bins of things?
Yep. So during assisted move-in, we use as many bins as it takes to get the car unloaded. In unassisted move-in, it's 1 bin that you can sign out from the bin stations or the residential service desk.
All right. So the next question is there a limit on setting up a student's room? So is there a limited amount of folks that people can bring?
No limit.
Anything like that?
No time limit, no people limit. I would definitely, again, reiterate, I think it's super important that roommates and roommates and suite mates and apartment mates are having conversations ahead of time so that everyone's in agreement around how the room is being set up. But there is no limit.
All right. Are there safes in rooms, or are there other suggestions for keeping belongings secure?
Mhm. There are not safes in our residence hall rooms. There are options for you to purchase one. So particularly, my experience with this has been with medications, to secure a passport and other important identification information like that. And so you are welcome to bring a safe. It isn't something that that we strongly encourage families to do. We do not have large issues with things like that. And we encourage your student to lock their door. And I am actually surprised how often I hear about situations happening where the door was left unlocked. We encourage students to keep their door locked and keep their key on them, even if they're in the residence hall, just down the hall visiting somebody else. I wouldn't leave the door unlocked to my house ever. So it's important to start to socialize that.
Mhm. To answer the question aloud about how to access the move-in reservations, Inspire, you go to housing, move-in/move out, and then you go to move-in reservation/key agreement, and this is the path to the move-in reservation system. So that is the answer to that question.
Pack
Uh,
rocks.
the next question is, are there blinds in the rooms?
Yes. So there are either shades or blinds in all residential rooms.
All right. When folks bring a second car, do they need to enter together, or can the second car just go straight to the parking lot?
I would encourage the second car to follow the primary car in so everyone's getting the same information and it helps with the flow of traffic on our campus. If people are sort of doing their own thing and trying to find their parking lot, they may be clogging up the interior of our campus. And so we encourage second car to follow primary car through the check-in location and go through that process.
All right. We've gotten a couple of questions about this. I'm gonna have you answer this early. If folks are looking at their room number and it says 04 or 03 or 02,
Mm.
does the 0 stand for it's in the basement, or how do we know the room numbering system?
So it's a great question, actually. Inspire, we were in our housing management system, we were required to use a 4-digit number. And so that is what required us to add the 0. And so unless it's a double 0, it is a fake number. It is. So in order to accommodate for a 22-story building, and if you live in 2208, that's easy. You're on the 22nd floor in room 8. But in order to accommodate a building that's only 4 floors, then it would be 0408. And that means your student lives on the 4th floor in room 8.
Got it. So are curtains allowed?
Sure.
And do you use a tension rod, or what's the best way to hang curtains?
I would say to figure that out with, you could, yes, a tension rod, and then perhaps even command strips. It depends on how heavy they are.
Mhm. All right. Can fans be placed in the windows?
In almost all cases, yes. And in fact, that's what I would encourage in order to keep the room cool. Also, keeping the blinds closed during the day when the sun is at its hottest is another strategy for keeping rooms cool, and then having the fan sort of in the interior. Your student will figure that out when they're here, but if they've grown up in an air-conditioned space, it may take them a bit to figure that out. But yes, most fans can be placed in front of a window. I wouldn't say necessarily in the window, but capturing cool air at night is key.
All right. So we're gonna do 2 last questions. So our second to last question is, can you talk to us about what's provided in the restrooms in the halls?
Mhm. So there are hand soap dispensers in our community bathrooms. So if you live in an apartment or a suite in Honors College or North, we don't provide hand soap. But in Sylvan residential area, which is suites, and then all of our traditional residence halls, there's hand soap and hand dryers in all of our bathrooms. Everywhere else, you provide for showering. There's nothing provided. You would provide your own personal items in your shower caddy.
All right. I lied. I'm gonna give you 2 more questions now.
Sure, sure.
There's information about the luggage program. So, are the things that are delivered to us brought directly to the room? How do students pick that stuff up? Also, if it's delivered to the room or if it's delivered to a central location, can they get movers to help them?
Mhm.
Thinking about our
Yep.
out-of-state and international
Yep.
students.
Out-of-state and international students should follow the instructions as they're outlined really specifically on our website. And so many of your questions will be answered, but I will answer broadly that it is our full intention after something's been shipped by way of you cannot ship from Amazon to the campus using the luggage program. You have to pack that box and ship it to us. We will take custody of it at our distribution center, and it is in our every intention to have it in your student's room. But if something arrives the day before your student moves in, it may not be in their room, and then it would get delivered to their residential service desk, and they would receive an email to come pick it up.
All right, so we gave you all 5 extra minutes. And I still see that there are at least 40 questions in the
Yeah,
Q&A.
yeah.
But Dawn, we got to respect everybody's time. And so I want to make sure that you get the last word. So what is the most important thing that you want folks to know or remember?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. So it does look like we have about 40 unanswered questions. Many of them are very specific that we probably couldn't answer anyhow. And so again, size, dimension, very specific things about a room or a building. We're not going to, unless we went and looked, which quite honestly, we don't have the resources to do. And so we're going to let that just be part of the experience of, moving in and being in a new space. If you have a question that you felt wasn't answered here that was very specific to your extenuating circumstances, I'll give you an example. We do try to work with families that have 2 students arriving. It might be twins who are new students, and we want to help you coordinate that so that it's easy and smooth for you. Or you might have a senior and a first-year student moving in. And so I want you to use the email at the end of my presentation to make that request of my staff. All other questions, again, the little detailed ones, if you email us, we're still not going to be able to answer you. But if there's something that's you felt like I didn't answer or we didn't get to in the Q&A, and you feel like you really would need to know this in order to move your student in, please email us and we will work through those questions as they come into us. We've got a great team behind the scenes answering emails on behalf of move-in and the move-in process and mail and packages and things like that, the luggage program. So please email those into us. We want to help you have success during move-in, and it is our ultimate goal to make this the smoothest process we can for you as you transition your student onto campus. And we really look forward to seeing you at the end of August.
All right, so thank you all so much for being here. A couple of reminders. This recording will be posted on the parents website, so umass.edu/parents. And so that is where you can find this recording. Please make sure you kind of saved the answers that were done in the chat. The chat does not appear in the recording, and so that's why we try to focus on answering them live, but also make sure you get your questions answered via the Q&A. If you want to make sure that you're getting all of our communications, because I saw a couple of questions about that, you can subscribe to our communications on the umass.edu/parents. If you do it on your phone, it's all the way at the bottom of the page. If you do it on a computer, it's on the right side of the page. So that's how you can make sure you're getting all of our communications. We will be back tomorrow with answering more questions and doing another Q&A. It will be very similar, so you don't have to attend both, but if you still think you didn't get an answer after you kind of marinated on it tonight, then come back tomorrow and we'll be here doing this again at noon. But thank you all so much for being here, and we will see you at Move-In.
Bye, everyone.